Welcome to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Michael Korosh and today we are in Santa Barbara Design Center. Last season we introduced a new segment on the show called Great Mansions, where we showcase some of the most beautiful residences in the world. Today I'm excited to share another edition of this series where we will be exploring the great castles of Europe. Please join us. For centuries, the cultural, political, and economic centers of Europe were castles, often home to kings and queens, lords and ladies, or the wealthiest individuals of a region. Castles are architectural wonders. Many have stood the test of time, dating back over 1,000 years. Our first visit on today's journey will be Chambord Castle in France. Also known as Chateau Chambord, this magnificent structure was commissioned by King Francis I. Its design is credited to Domenico da Cortona, but elements may have been designed by Leonardo da Vinci. Construction began in 1519 and continued until 1549. Over the 30 years in which the structure was worked on, the design was altered significantly. Though it was never formally finished, when the castle reached 95% completion, Francis I held a grand reception to show his wealth and power to Holy Roman Emperor Charles V of Italy, a former enemy and political rival. Chambord features 440 rooms, 282 fireplaces, and 84 staircases. A masterpiece of Renaissance architecture. The grounds feature a large decorative moat in the style of medieval castles. The facade features over 800 sculpted decorative columns and a massive roof structure designed at Francis I's request to look like the skyline of Constantinople. Writer Henry James remarked, "The towers, cupolas, the gables, the lanterns, the chimneys look more like the spires of a city than the salient points of a single building." Perhaps the most impressive design element is the massive double spiral staircase that the visitors can use to reach the second floor once inside the castle. Nestled in the sparsely populated Loire Valley, Chambord Castle was unlike many castles in that there were no nearby villages to support the 2,000 people it would take to maintain the castle grounds. Food stocks for the entire staff would have to be transported in. Furniture was also brought in for each visit, mounting to a logistical nightmare for the French royal staff. Upon Francis I's death, the castle was abandoned for over a century. King Louis XIII commissioned his cousin to restore the castle, and it was again used until the late 1600s, whereupon it was abandoned once again. After the French Revolution, the government ordered the sale of the castle's furnishings. This was taken to an extreme with wall panels, doors, and floorboards ripped out and sold for kindling. In ruins, the castle was left to decay until Napoleon Bonaparte sold it to a family member to restore to its former glory. This, however, was not meant to be, as Napoleon was soon deposed and his family went into exile. After another century of disrepair, a concerted effort to restore the castle began just before World War I. Chambord remained in a state of partial restoration until World War II, when it was used to house the contents of the Louvre during the Nazi occupation of Paris. This included the Mona Lisa and the Venus de Milo. On June 22, 1944, the castle and the priceless treasures of art inside were nearly destroyed when an American B-22 bomber crash-landed on the castle lawn just feet away from the structure. After the war, the grounds and restoration work were officially taken over by the French government, and by 1950 the castle had become a symbol of French Renaissance architecture. For 60 years, it has been featured on the labels of food, alcohol, and other products. Today, Chambord sees over 700,000 visitors a year. It has served as the inspiration for countless other structures, including the Founders Building at the University of London. Stay tuned. After this break, we will be exploring another beautiful European castle. Stay tuned. There is more Design Santa Barbara after the break. On this edition of Michael's Minute, I would like to talk to you about mid-century modern furniture. Mid-century modern is described as the period between 1933 and 1965, in which designers such as Eames and Nakashima used clean lines and futuristic materials to propel design into a post-war era. At Santa Barbara Design Center, you can see and feel a variety of mid-century inspired furniture, including our signature leather chairs and recliners with classical wood frames. Accent them with side tables, daybeds, ottomans for a slick, artistic look. Customize these pieces to fit your home perfectly. To bring mid-century modern style to your home, please visit us at Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive Street.
Welcome to Rugs & More. We provide the West Coast with the most comprehensive collection of new, oriental, and antique rugs. Rugs are solid art investments and often become cherished family treasures. Our limitless inventory will warm up your home. Exotic or traditional, tribal or modern, our rugs weave stories through intricate patterns, compelling colors, and touchable materials. #1 in Santa Barbara for over 20 years. Visit us today at Rugs & More, 410 Olive Street in Santa Barbara.
Today on Michael's Minute, I want to talk to you about transitional rugs. Although still majority of rugs we sell, they are traditional and classical rugs, but nowadays more and more designers and the projects they have requires transitional and modern carpet. On this side, we have a very beautifully handmade rug that has classical designs from Ziegler and Company, Sultanabad. On this side, we have an Uşak design. Uşak is a town in Turkey that originally made classical Turkish designs from 1,000 years to today. They're still making them. This particular one has a classical design, but has all the colors of today's interior. So it's beige with a little bit of eggplant color and gray in it. To see thousands of transitional, modern, and classical rugs, come to Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive. Welcome back to Design Santa Barbara. This week we are exploring the great castles of Europe. Next, we will be heading to the coast of Portugal. Not far from Portugal's capital of Lisbon is the majestic Pina Palace. The castle was built on the site of a monastery destroyed in the Great Lisbon earthquake of 1755. After the land was acquired by Portugal's king consort Ferdinand II in 1838, plans were drawn to build a summer palace for the Portuguese royal family. The commission was given to Wilhelm Ludwig von Eschwege, an amateur German architect. Ferdinand called for a romantic design that blended German and Moorish style. 9 years into construction, the royal family decided to change the plans and add more elements, including vaulted ceilings and stained glass windows. The structure was formally completed in 1854. In 1899, the castle was declared a historic site and put under the protection of the Portuguese government. Originally painted numerous colors including red, yellow, and cream, over the time the structure was painted a dull gray. After being named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1995, Pina Palace was restored to its vibrant original colors. Pina Palace was a profusion of styles much in accordance with the exotic taste of Romanticism. The intentional mixture of eclectic styles includes Neo-Gothic and Neo-Renaissance. References to other prominent Portuguese buildings, such as the Belém Tower, are also present. The clock tower features a sundial cannon, which fired every day at noon. The structure is built on a solid rock and is surrounded by a dense forest, which is now also a national park. In an effort to promote international relations, trees from around the world were planted in the park, including American sequoias, Chinese ginkgo, and Australian ferns. Today, Pina Palace is used for official state functions and attracts a great number of tourists every year. It has been declared one of Portugal's 7 wonders. From Portugal, we now head across the water to Scotland, where we will learn about a truly ancient site in the heart of Gaelic nation's oldest city, Edinburgh Castle. Archaeologists have dated the foundings of Edinburgh Castle to the 2nd century AD. The current structure was constructed in the 12th century with improvements made in the 15th and 16th centuries. It was used as a royal residence until 1633. During the Scottish Independence Wars lasting from the 16th to 18th centuries, Edinburgh Castle was a military centre and barracks for freedom-fighting Scottish troops. In its 1100-year history, the fortress has been under siege 26 times, making it the most attacked location in all of United Kingdom still standing. The structure is built upon a volcanic mound, giving it a unique defensive position. To this day, it has an imposing presence over Edinburgh's skyline. The complex features a traditional gatehouse, quarters for all manners of residences, a massive barrack and chapel. Deep within the complex, Crown Square served as the seat of the Scottish throne with the Royal Palace and adjacent Palace Hall. So well designed for defense and training, the castle remained in use by Scottish military until 1920, upon which it was converted into a museum and historic site. Today, it is among the most visited sites in Scotland, attracting over 1.4 million visitors a year. Since the late 1920s, the castle has been adorned with statues of famous Scots, including William, Wallace, and Robert the Bruce. The guard tower still serves a purpose today, as the 1 o'clock cannon helps the nearby port track time. It is fired every day of the year except Good Friday and Christmas. We are going to take a short break, but when we come back, we will be exploring one more incredible European castle. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss this one. Today on Michael's Minute, I would like to talk to you about fabrics. Fabrics are quite essential items for your upholstery and window covering, and we have a huge selection of them. We have Durally fabrics, Fabricot, my favorite Cravat, we have our own house fabrics, and we have Ralph Lauren. For indoor-outdoor use, we have many different fabrics, and I would highly recommend you to come to Santa Barbara Design Center to see the largest selection of fabrics in town. Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive. Today on Design FYI, we're going to talk about what not to buy when you're going shopping for rugs. Most big outlets or national chains, they sell nowadays hand-tufted rugs. This sounds like it's hand knotted, it's done by hand, but actually they are not. It's called hand-tufted and is actually a gun that rolls the wool around the warp, and they are not good rugs at all. So this is a sample we're having here for you to see. Anything that has a backing like this, flip your rugs over at home, see if it has a backing, is absolutely not good. So what it does is it hides what they did below this thing, which is a latex glue, which actually is toxin. And if you have got any rugs over the net, I hate to say it, over the net, because it's easy to sell and they're inexpensive, you buy these things over the internet. So when it comes to your house, they smell. Have you noticed that? They smell more like a gasoline or more like a diesel because they don't let the latex cure. And the latex that glues this wool to this backing smells a lot. On top of that, they shed quite a lot. The wool is cheap because they need to be inexpensive, and they shed. I would not recommend you to get anything, again, that has a backing and is glued because it comes apart very easily. It is temporary. It is not a green product because they wear very quickly, end up in the fill, and just basically as a landfill junk we are adding to our planet. The things I would recommend you to get, unlike these things that have backing, is the rugs that they have nuts to them. So as what to buy, I highly recommend you to get some rugs that they are hand knotted. And how you can see, flip it to the back, and you can see the knots are done individually, and each one is slightly different than the next one because they're done by hand, and the intensity of the wool and the pull they have the weaver makes them look different. Also, the sides are done by hand. That you can see very easily. If you want to buy a real rug, please come to Santa Barbara Design Center and I can gladly help you. Thank you for joining us on Design FYI, Santa Barbara Design Center, Fort and Olive. Welcome back to Design Santa Barbara. Thank you for joining us as we are traveling across Europe, exploring some of the continent's most beautiful castles. Our final castle is one of the world's most famous structures and widely considered one of the most beautiful buildings ever created. Neuschwanstein Castle is a 19th century Romanesque revival palace on a rugged hill in southwest Bavaria. The palace was commissioned by Ludwig II of Bavaria as a retreat and in honor of composer Richard Wagner. Ludwig paid for the palace out of his personal fortune rather than Bavarian public funds. The castle was intended as a home for the king until he died in 1886. It was opened to the public shortly after his death. Since then, more than 61 million people have visited Neuschwanstein Castle. More than 1.3 million people visit annually, with as many as 6,000 per day in the summer. Built on the site of 3 ruined medieval castles, the building design was drafted by a stage designer named Christian Young and realized by the architect Eduard Riedel. The king insisted on a detailed plan and on personal approval of each and every draft. Ludwig's control went so far that to many the palace has been regarded as his own creation rather than that of the architects. Construction began in 1869. By 1882, enough was constructed for Ludwig to take provisional vacations at the castle. For nearly 2 decades, the site was the principal employer for the region, with as many as 300 workers on site every day. Despite its size, Neuschwanstein did not have a space for the royal court, but contained only the king's private lodging and servants' rooms. The court buildings served decorative rather than residential purposes. The palace was intended to serve Ludwig II as a kind of inhabitable theatrical setting. As a temple of friendship, it was also dedicated to the life and work of Richard Wagner, who died in 1883 before he had set foot in the building. In the end, Ludwig II himself only lived in the palace for a total of 172 days. Upon its completion, many regarded the building as kitschy, but it nonetheless became a symbol of romanticism. A mere 6 weeks after Ludwig II's death, the castle was opened for paying visitors. It became a lucrative location for tourism until World War I. Due to its secluded location in southern Bavaria, Neuschwanstein survived both wars without damage. In between the conflicts, the structure came under the control of the Bavarian Palace Department. As seen in these 19th century photochromes, the interiors are ornately decorated, featuring grand accents and art. Today, Neuschwanstein is considered one of the most recognizable sites in all of the world. It has served as inspiration for countless other structures, including the equally famous Sleeping Beauty castles at Disneyland parks. Thank you for joining us for this tour of amazing castles of Europe. I hope you have enjoyed it, and we look forward to sharing more incredible structures from around the world. Stay tuned, we will have more Design Santa Barbara after the break. Stay tuned, there is more Design Santa Barbara after the break. This week on Michael's Minute, we are going to talk about rug cleaning and restoration. A fine rug is a family treasure often passed on from generation to generation. Rugs need to be properly taken care of to ensure their survival and protect your investment. At Santa Barbara Design Center, we are the foremost experts in professional cleaning, repairing, and preserving your rugs. Rugs should be hand washed every 3 to 5 years to maintain the structure. When was the last time you washed your rugs? Proper cleaning can extend the longevity of your rug, whereas steam cleaning can damage it. Restorations by Rugs & More include hand stitching, fixing fringes and sides, and reviving worn pile. For the finest restoration and cleaning, bring your rugs into Rugs & More at Santa Barbara Design Center today, 410 Olive Street. This week on Design FYI, we're going to talk about sofas and the unknown mistakes people make. Did you know average American spends 46 minutes a day in a car, but they spend 5 hours and 4 minutes on average on a sofa? So why would you go out there and spend tens of thousands of dollars for something you use for 46 minutes and then go ahead and buy something cheap that you sit on it for 5 hours and 4 minutes? At Santa Barbara Design Center, we create your custom sofa that is made for you specifically and to your shape and size and comfort and your family. So when you're sitting and watching TV or talking and conversing with your friends, you're sitting on actually something that represents you. Your car represents you, why shouldn't your sofa? Thank you for joining us on Design FYI this week, and please come see me at Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive, and let me help you find the right sofa for you and your family.
Welcome to Rugs & More. We provide the West Coast with the most comprehensive collection of new, oriental, and antique rugs. Rugs are solid art investments and often become cherished family treasures. Our limitless inventory will warm up your home. Exotic or traditional, tribal or modern, our rugs weave stories through intricate patterns, compelling colors, and touchable materials. #1 in Santa Barbara for over 20 years. Visit us today at Rugs & More, 410 Olive Street in Santa Barbara.
Today on Michael's Minute, I'm gonna talk about what makes a good sofa versus a great sofa. This one is called Malibu and this is called Malibu 2.0. What makes the difference is for the Malibu, we use industry standard wrap, which is a polyester. For the 2.0, we use a blend of angel hair, which is a synthetic down, and down itself. On top of that, we use 2 different fabrics for them. For the regular Malibu, we use 100% polyester fabric, which is very long lasting and has 30,000 double rub, which is very durable. For the 2.0, we use the highest quality linen in the market. I would like to invite you to come and see these in person. Come see me at Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive. This week on Appraisals, we are looking at 3 stunning 17th-18th century French needlepoint chairs. To be a member of French aristocracy in the 17th century meant an unending lifestyle of lavish parties, food, and palatial residences. An ornate gilded style took over the palaces of Versailles and residences of the upper classes. To accent this style, fabrics were adorned with needlepoint designs very similar to tapestries and wall hangings. The city of Aubusson, world famous for its tapestries, was also known for producing elegant and detailed needlepoint chairs. The tradition lasted well into the 18th century, but the French Revolution saw many of the original examples destroyed. To own a true original French needlepoint chair is to own a piece of history. Now let's look at some examples of this beautiful decorative art. So we have this beautiful 18th century French with beautiful metal work on it. It is needlepoint. As you can see, this is beautiful pettipoint, the face and surrounding of the lady, and all around is needlepoint. The silk has wore off slightly. After 100 years, silk starts eating itself off and gets loosened. It's in pretty good condition for its age. It has beautiful ornate curves in it. has still the original caster. The legs are just detailed and beautifully made. We have a 19th century version of this chair. As you can see, they took the metals off. There's not that much metal work into it. The style gets more broken off. The wood is not as beautiful and it's slightly bigger design. As you can see, the chair is smaller itself, but the styles got bigger, so less work on it, although it has a lot of work. And then we see the last chair out here. It is the oldest of the bunch. I think it is late 17th century. It is, again, as you can see, just magnificent metal work. The faces and the metal is just amazing. You have details, you have an ottoman that goes with it. The petty point, you can see, got even finer, and what a romantic scene, the gentleman kissing the lady's hand. You have the bouquet of flowers on it. Work of art. I appraise them differently. We start with the 19th century piece. Today's market value, they used to be a lot more expensive and they are not as desirable. I like them because they represent a certain age of workmanship and pride in what they did. I would appraise this market value like around $1,000. The 18th century piece, $2,500. And the late 17th century with this beautiful work, $4,500. And they are available for viewing at Santa Barbara Design Center. And I want to thank you for joining us for today's appraisal. See you next week.